What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about
My gambling debts? No, what?
Sure. How much do you owe?
Not enough yet, but I'm working on it.
Do you love Vegas?
I know, I'm joking.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I love Vegas.
Yeah. Do I like it? When you have to go down there and live there for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, like I did with George a number of times,
or 2 or 3 months,
you really get to hate it. If you're, you know, it's a funny thing. It's like they say, you know, if you want to look for a child molester, go around a school or a camp. If you want to look for a gambler, go around a casino. That's where them people are driving cabs.
Yeah.
They're gamblers. Do you like to gamble?
I like to gamble.
Huh?
I think you got this one covered.
You know who gives out the best candy during Halloween? Who gives out the best candy during Halloween?
I don't know.
Pedophiles.
That's funny.
All right. So how was it EPing, George Carlin's American Dream?
The show's going to be terrific. I was with George for 35 years. So we were best friends, and we traveled alone, just the two of us, for all those years. So, I got to know him better than anybody, including his family. I had spent way more time. And he was great. I miss him. I feel like I lost my teacher. He's been dead 12 years. And I used to get 3-4 phone calls a day and 4 or 5 emails a day from him when we weren't on the road. So it's like, pulling the rug out from under you for me. And I learned a lot from him, and he might have picked up a thing or two from me. And, I don't know if you got a best friend, but when you lose a best friend for all them years, it's a son of a bitch, excuse me. So...
I lost my best friend, too. It was worse than any family member when my best friend died. So.
Yeah, well, that's what this was, because that's who I talked to. That's who we kidded. We used to fly into a major city, say Boston, and then play 3-4 cities around it, because she used to like to get in rental cars, so he could get right off stage and jump in and leave. And when a person is done with a show, like George, they got a high going and a buzz, and they're not afraid to show their ass. And so much great material came out of those rental cars, you have no idea. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Absolutely.
And just us sitting there, I'd say something. I was embarrassed if I was in front of a bunch of people. Never say it. But when you're like that, and I miss all that. I have a picture somewhere. My dad was a big band promoter, and I have a picture somewhere when I'm about 5 years old, sitting on a piano stool while Count Basie is rehearsing Joe Williams and his orchestra for a show that night. So I ran around theaters, and then I did it with George for over 30 years.
Wow. Amazing, man. What are 2 memories that you have that were not in this film, in these films?
Oh, there were a lot of them. There was... I was in my hometown of Rochester. I'll give you something. And I had 5,000 seats sold out, 2 shows. And I got a call from George, had a road manager at that time. And I got a call from him, and he says, George isn't going to make the show. I says, are you nuts? I got 5,000 people coming. So I learned the power of public service announcements. We got on the radio. You know what it was? He had turned 40, and he was in the Essex Hotel on Central Park, loaded, and he didn't show up for 3 days.
Oh, my God.
See there now, I give you a scoop.
That's like a scoop and a half.
That's his 40th birthday present.
Such a pleasure to talk to you, and an amazing... I feel like this is like the honoring of George tonight. It totally is the honoring of it tonight.
He deserves it, and I'm glad he's getting it. And I think we're going to get an audience for this thing too when it jumps.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you guys made this film, and I make references about George's philosophies all the time. All the time.
That's
about
great.
God, about how
That's
prophetic
great.
he was, and viruses and everything. So your shit, my stuff, all
He's
that
so
stuff.
far ahead of people. And the funny thing with George is people will leave the theater, and I saw this, And we both know that George was a brilliant head. But he had something about him where people would say, that's the way I think. They don't. If they did, they'd be out making money. But they don't. But they think they do. And he touches a nerve or something in them, and he connects with them.
Absolutely.
George, very vulnerable on stage. Very vulnerable.
Okay.